I've got the best verse for you ever. Actually, group of verses. It's a little long. Unfortunately, I don't have it committed to memory, so I have to read it off my watch because I can't record and see it on my phone at the same time. This is going to be weird. Ephesians 4:17 and beyond. It says, you must no longer walk as the Gentiles do in the futility of their minds. They are darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to the hardness of their heart. Okay, park that in your mind, right? Ignorance, hardness of heart. Sounds judgmental, but we'll come back to that, right? They have become callous and have given themselves up to sensuality and greedy to practice every kind of impurity. Now here's the twist. But that is not the way you learned Christ. Assuming that you have heard about him and were taught in him as to the truth in Jesus, to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life, and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on your new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. I'm just going to stop there. I could just keep reading. Those are the most amazing words I think anyone could ever speak when it comes to how to live the way that Jesus came to. I mean, Jesus came so that we could have a completely new way of life, right? Now, I want to go back to what it was saying. It's like, don't live like the Gentiles do, and it goes to hardness of heart. And like, again, it's hard for me because in a way I've been so conditioned. I've seen too much to where people are just like, oh, don't offend. Don't. It's not meant to be offensive. It's like, look, there's really two kinds of folks. You either have Jesus or you don't, right? And if you don't, then all you've got is flesh. And you're not going to be able to put off flesh with flesh. I know this sounds crazy, but you can't rip off something that's all that you are, right? The only way you can put off flesh is for it to die. This is the idea of being born again, right? As you're born again, as you set your minds on Christ, as you receive him and believe, you come alive in your spirit. Now, how do you overcome every single sin in the world? Not the old way. That's what the whole passage is trying to do. It's like, don't try to do it like the Gentiles do, right? They can't. Their hearts are hard. It's like they can't do it. But instead, consider yourself dead. Don't put a rubber band around your wrist and snap it every single time you're tempted to do something, right? That's the old. You're trying to fight flesh with flesh. Instead, recognize daily, every moment of the day, recognize that through Jesus, as I believe that Jesus is on the cross and came to be a sacrifice for me, a great exchange happens. My flesh dies with Jesus on that cross. Now, I don't literally drop over dead right now, but the flesh, the sinful nature, the hardened heart, all the stuff it was talking about, like all of that dies. And I'm raised in a new way in the spirit. I, for so many years, would then say, okay, now I need to go into now I gotta become a real Christian. I gotta work hard on putting all this stuff off and et cetera, right? But no, that's not, it's like, no, every day I need to count myself dead. I need to recognize that I am dead and raised to life in Jesus by focusing on him being my substitute on the cross. That's the life of faith. And then I can be renewed in my mind. As I start setting my mind, which is still around, is still corrupted with a lot of bad stuff from the flesh, right? I start renewing my mind with the life of the Spirit. So, man, I could talk for hours on that, but you got 4 minutes. That's just the start of Ephesians 4.